And now it's time to talk about attendance. Attendance. There are actually two different laws dealing with attendance that affect us in schools. First is the denial of credit law, and the other is the truancy law. So denial of credit deals with both excused and unexcused absences, such as absences, period. And sometimes that confuses students, but the gist of it is that kids have to be in attendance 90% of the time or they cannot receive credit for the class. The only thing that can override that is the attendance committee that meets at the end of each semester. Usually the only ones that override that have to do with medical situations or things that are beyond the control of the student. So with denial of credit, Teo Santibanez, one of our attendance clerks, is over the recovery hours for denial of credit, recoup. She communicates very well, as do the other ladies, with students once they fall below that 90%. Because again, we don't have a choice. We have to deny them credit unless they get their hours back up to 90%. The other law has to do with truancy, which is what most kids get bent out of shape about. Truancy at 10 absences within a 6-month time period. Unexcused absences, we do have to file on them in court. That's a law. We have to do that. But at 3 unexcused absences, we began our truancy intervention measures to try and help them not even get to the point where they have to deal with the possibility of going to court. Now, attendance-wise, what do I need from you? Well, you'll be marking attendance every day. Students by default in Skyward are marked present. Thus, you have to go in if a student's absent and change it from a P to an A, okay, to make it absent. Or if they're tardy, you need to go in and mark T for tardy. Those are the only 2 codes you have access to. But I need you to submit your attendance within 15 minutes in the period. Yes, that goes for everyone. Last year, our attendance was not super accurate. We would have a kid absent first, third, and fourth, but not second, when really the mom called and the kid had the flu and they weren't there, and yet they were marked present. So we're receiving funds for kids if we mark them present. So that is deceptive if we do not have that right and we're taking money for it. So that's why I need it to be super accurate. So to help you do that, I need you to keep a hard copy. You either can keep it on just regular paper, or you can do an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Sheet. It doesn't matter to me, but I need you to keep attendance records somewhere other than Skyward as well as in Skyward. We may email you at certain points and ask you to clear up any discrepancies. And if you're just looking at Skyward, which is what we're looking at, then that doesn't clear anything up. It just has you tell us exactly what we're looking at. So I do need you to have that other copy. If you make an error on it marking attendance, as soon as you've hit submit, you cannot go back and correct anything. We have to do that. There is an attendance correction form that is on the hub under documents, and you would just print that, fill it out, sign it to correct a student's attendance if you accidentally marked someone absent who shouldn't have been, or you can do it electronically and email it to any of the attendance secretaries, and their names and emails are listed on that form. Field trip requirements. Many of you will take field trips this year, take students to various places or athletic events. Those lists need to be sent to Delia Ramirez, who's one of our new attendance secretaries, at least 2 days ahead of time so that she can fix their attendance. An added bonus this year that you must do is after the fact, you need to turn in a sheet saying either everyone was actually present on the field trip or, oh, Jim and Sally were not present. So you need to turn that in on a paper. It could be on a paper roster that you create. That way Delia can go back in and correct any errors so that our attendance is as accurate as possible. If a student misses more than one class period, I'm asking that you call home to see what's going on with them. If you find out anything interesting, let us know. We do make calls, but it's usually after 3 absences. If the kid continues to miss your class and you're just like, what's going on with this kid? Please let us know in the office so we can try to research it as well. And I'd also ask that you let their counselor know or a member of the at-risk team. A lot of times, lack of attendance is a precursor to dropping out. We want to catch them before we get to that point. If a student's 10 minutes or more late to class, that's a partial absence. They will not sign your tardy log. They will be sent straight to the office to get a pass from us and consequences. For first period, that's not just 10 minutes, it's 20 minutes. That's a district policy. So 10 minutes late to any other class, but 20 minutes late to first period, they need to come to the office. All right, if you get an email about, hey, was this kid in class? Can you email me back? Don't be offended. We're just double checking. Sometimes we have kids come by and they say, I was there, but Skyward says, no, you weren't. So we just need to check with you, which is why I need you to have that other copy of your attendance to double check. We already talked about correcting student attendance. Substitutes have a new form this year that I created. It's a duplicate form to keep their attendance on. The old forms were crummy. I don't know, they might have been 100 years old from the district. After our audit last year, we came up with this other way to have more information, make it more accurate. You have a substitute folder that stays with Debbie Carnreich. These little pads of paper will be in there, and they are duplicate, like I said. So the white copy the sub will send down to the attendance office to turn in attendance. This is anybody who's absent from class. The yellow copy they can keep and give to you. You do need updated rosters in your substitute folders. Make sure that if your roster changes, you update it and give it to Debbie so she can put it in that black folder. All right, exemptions. This is kind of a big deal. I'm going to go over it as briefly as possible. I send a written, better explanation later in the semester, but I want you to let kids know. There are requirements to being exempt. It's a district policy. We don't get to override that. I know that there were teachers last year that made kids exempt that shouldn't have been. You can't do that. It's not the way that works. There's actually requirements. One of the requirements is they cannot have been placed in a disciplinary placement of ISS or greater. So ISS, ISIP, the Learning Center, JJAP, any of those would make them not even eligible to be exempt. Also, they have to meet they have no absences in their passing criteria, or they have one absence and their semester grade is at least an 85 or higher. The only absences that don't count against them are college days and field trips, or if they went to the doctor but they attended school for part of that school day and they have to bring a doctor's note. No early releases after 3:30. This is parents coming to pick up kids for like a doctor's appointment, for example. We have this posted at the kiosk, but again, it's not something that's going to be optional. So let kids know after 3:30 they won't be allowed to be picked up. They're going to have to wait till the end of the school day. Students are not allowed to leave leave campus during lunch and get food. They're not allowed to order food. This is a big deal. If they leave, that's skipping. Recoup, I'm going to let what I already said about that be enough. If you have questions about recoup, you can let me know. Kids do have to make up that time to be able to get credit in those classes. For a kid to be in your class is really the best way for a kid to pass your class, so please don't let kids leave early from class. Don't let them go a minute early because you have somewhere to be. If they leave your class, please make it a legitimate place that they're going to, the restroom, library, not a vending machine, etc. Make sure their name, destination, time, and your signatures on it. And one last thing is, if they have early release on their schedule, like fourth period off, they need to leave campus. Please make sure kids know that. Well, thanks for your attention on this. If you have other questions, let me know. Thanks.